There we go. All right. Woo-hoo.
We are live.
We are live. We're recording. We're actually live. I should say, welcome, Tom, to
Thank you, Julie.
to live tea
I'm
time.
happy to be here at tea time.
We're in the hostage situation room of Warwick's back office.
But at least I'm feeling better about everything because look who's here with me.
Trying to make it feel like home for you.
Thank you.
So-
Wow, say them without cutout.
A talisman for me, someone who will remain behind my shoulder.
until the book comes out.
Barbara's, yes, until not forever.
Not for
Maybe
well,
forever.
maybe forever.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be bad to have Barbara over your shoulder.
She should be there forever.
5 weeks from now.
What's up, Doc?
Just like spying you over your shoulder.
Angel on your shoulder.
I love it. So if we sound a little funny, but yeah, we're live at the bookstore. I wish we had one of those like cameras that we could like walk around with, but we have terrible Wi-Fi. So
We tried to
We
do
tried.
even set up in the bookstore.
Yeah. And so Kim might be joining us, but she might be coming in a little bit later. So anyways, so yeah, in the middle of the fall, great books coming out. So we are, I'm loving doing this.
I love it
think
too.
it's
I'm great.
hilarious.
It's
Yeah.
weird. It's cool.
it's-
This looks normal when I'm staying on the screen, but what are you doing here?
Beth says that Tom is in the studio.
Yes,
We are
right.
Live.
live in the studio.
Live,
with Warwick.
yeah. This
It's
is
pretty
now a
hilarious.
studio.
Yeah. Hey, I have my ring light. It's pretty
That's
funny.
why the lighting is so
I
good.
know, that's why we look so young.
I was wondering.
So Tom's gonna go first. It's gonna go Tom, Julia, Andrea, Gabe. So Tom,
Okay.
what do you have to share with us today?
Thank you, Julie. Thank you for calling on me. So my first book is a book that everyone at Warwick's is buzzing about. It is The Maniac by Benjamin Labatut. And Tea Time has had a look into the whole publishing process from the beginning. So from when was that? February?
February, we were in Seattle with him.
Right.
I got to sit next to him.
And Tea Time was there live.
And we were live with him.
Yeah, right. Not with him.
No, but we had dinner with him.
Yes, you had dinner with him. Unforgettable
Unforgettable dinner with him.
dinner with him. And so the book is out tomorrow.
Yeah,
finally.
finally.
So this is going to be one of the most talked about books of the year. How to describe it though? Well, I'll try. So his first book was what was that called? When We Cease to Understand the World, which was also about science and scientists, collection of stories. So that's his area of interest, and also mixing fact and fiction. This is fiction. He calls it fiction, but there's a lot of fact in here also. So this, if there is a central character, and I'm not sure exactly that there is, it's John von Neumann, who was the mathematician who came from Hungary, I think, is that right? Who is the father of the personal computer, essentially. Like his theories, all the work he did led us to the personal computer. So he gets inside, so Labatut gets inside the story of science and scientists from World War I, basically, through World War II, and then the atomic bomb. So also Oppenheimer, if you loved Oppenheimer, this is a book for you, because many of those scientists are in the book. But he's both getting into the personal lives of the scientists, but he's got a bigger story to tell, which I think we can all have different ideas, but I think his story is science, these leaps in science, which must be made because the minds of the scientists have come up with, have made these leaps. They almost always lead to tragedy. And that's what we see throughout the book, both often in personal lives, but definitely in terms of the big picture. Obviously Oppenheimer being the biggest example. But what blew my mind was how he takes it up into AI and AlphaGo, which was when the Go masters who have trained, and this is millennia old game, centuries old game, that you have to be a master of in order to, you are creative, you've got it all down. And it did not take that long for the AI to figure out how to beat the masters. And I read this book before AI was on our lips, like now,
As
of
much as
course.
we did,
I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
we all read it so early that I thought, oh my God, this is scary. Luckily, I don't know if I'll be around for this, but, and then like 3 months later, they release Chat GPT,
yeah.
and then now you can't go anywhere without talking about it. So the book is terrifying, beautiful. It's like no other book I've read, because again, the mix of fact and fiction is really, it's almost, and it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters to him which it is. He's mixing them all the
Right.
time. He's creating something kind of brand new, and I think so. The Maniac, and then one other thing to add, that the reviews are starting to run. The Washington Post said, even more than When We Cease to Understand the World, which was a New York Times 10 best book of the year. The Maniac is a work of dark, eerie, and singular beauty. So on sale tomorrow, The Maniac.
I can't talk highly enough about this book. And you all were on Tea Time before when we were talking about a book called The Anomaly, which I think we've sold like 600 copies of that book or something crazy like that. I mean, it's just insane. Basically on just the thing of, just trust me, read this.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how you have to go about The Maniac, because, and I know nothing about von Neumann. I know very little about Oppenheimer, and I was riveted by this book. So it's not, you don't have to have this like huge scientific background of things to know. So just trust us.
Yeah, that's one. Just trust us.
Just this is definitely a just trust us.
And it's one where you feel smart. Like you feel smart. I felt smarter,
Yeah.
even if I don't really understand everything.
Correct.
I kind of feel like I do at the moment.
Yeah.
And it sets it like kind of like, it's just exciting. It was exciting to read.
It really was. Yeah.
Um,
So because you feel like you're reading something just so unique.
Yeah.
So, okay, good one. Love it. All right, Julia, what do you got for us?
Okay, let me share this with you. My first one is this book called A Haunting on the Hill. And you can see it is, oops. It's by Elizabeth Hand. This is the first book ever that Shirley Jackson's estate has approved to be a part of her sort of the Haunting of Hill House universe, if you will. And this is, it takes place in the same house as A Haunting of Hill House. It's a modern retelling, much like A Haunting of Hill House. There's a queer storyline in it, and it's about a group of friends. These friends like find this house, and they're sick of living in the city. It's so expensive, and they kind of like want to have a nice, like, not quite a commune, but like, you know, a place where all their friends can live with them. And of course, this house does not want that. I will say, when I started reading it one night, and I'm like a real weenie about horror. And it was so scary, I had to stop reading it and could only read it in the morning. So it's
really that scary?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm kind of a weenie when it comes to horror, but it scared the crap out of me. It was like it's haunting, you know, like you feel it from the get-go, and you really feel that like nothing good is about to start happening. Like, everything
Is it out tomorrow, or is it already out?
So yeah, this is my first one. It's great, like I said. And Shirley Jackson's estate approved it to be sort of part of this universe. So I think that's a pretty big deal. So
it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Because I think this is the time of year that I love to read those kind of, I mean, obviously everybody does, but I just downloaded from the library. What's the not We Always Lived in the Castle. What's the other Shirley Jackson one? Haunting on Hill House?
Haunting of Hill House, yeah.
Yeah. So I just downloaded that from the library because I was like, oh, it's been so long since I read that. I want to be creeped out again, but I might have to do this one.
Well, and I feel like I've been hearing about Elizabeth Hand more and more. I don't know where, but maybe it's with this book coming out, but it seems like the time is right.
And Kim's in the house. Hi, Kim.
Hello.
We were going to try to figure out a way to get Kim because she was at the store earlier, but we couldn't quite figure out how to get Kim live with us.
We almost did it.
We almost did it,
with
but-
microphone,
yeah.
passing the microphone.
We'll try to figure it out.
Yeah, it's a little tight in there. Next time.
Yep. All right, Andrew, I think you're next.
Hi, everyone. It's good to see you after another break.
Yeah.
I don't know why it is, but I keep on choosing nonfiction titles. So I have a trio of nonfiction titles again, but I promise I'll bring in some good fiction next week. This is already in stores and publishing this week. It's Dear California, the Golden State in Diaries and Letters. It's edited by David Kippen, who is very familiar to people in the publishing industry and anybody who really is into literature. He was editor of the San Francisco Chronicle, started one of the founders of the Libros Schmibros Lending Library, excuse me. He's done a lot of stuff, and he's put together this collection. He had he edited another book called Dear Los Angeles that did really well.
Oh,
a few years ago.
I was just gonna,
Yeah.
when I saw the title, I thought, this looks like the other Kippen book. So I was just about to look up the title and then you said Kippen. So yes.
Yes, and that's it. So this just expands that whole notion across the state, obviously. So, and it's just dispatches from the mysterious, compelling, maddening, gorgeous state that we love. And it's just a great collection of writers that are talking about California. I mean, it's Edward Abbey, Louis Armstrong, Ambrose Bierce, Octavia Butler. I mean, everybody, Susan Sontag, Mark Twain, Oscar Wilde. He did tour the United States, and so he has something to say. John Muir, Marilyn Monroe, Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, we were with you. We were
I
right.
know. Frida Kahlo.
Okay, we're
Billy
back.
Joel,
We're back.
Oh yeah.
Dolores Huerta, Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Laura Ingalls Wilder, Herman Melville, Charles Mingus, Simone de Beauvoir, God, can't speak, Simone de Beauvoir,
Yep.
We gotcha.
Oh God. Winston Churchill, Julia Child. It's an amazing collection. This is the kind of book that you're going to pick up for somebody as a gift, and buy one for yourself as well. It's just a great collection on California, from contemporaries as well as historical figures. And I'm so happy that we have this book. And I'll tell you what, we've gotten some really nice orders for this book, not even in California, but across the indie marketplace. And you're gonna, people will see this stacked everywhere. It will be stacked. It already is stacked at Warwick's. So call up and get your copy, reserve your copy. And this is from Redwood Press, which is an imprint of Stanford University Press. So I don't really talk a lot about a lot of their books, but this is definitely one that will work as a trade-friendly book.
Awesome.
Well, and I remember when the Dear Los Angeles was published, that was a sensation.
Yeah.
I think Dwight Garner reviewed it in the New York Times like an absolute rave, and then the book just flew all the way through the holidays that year. So
yeah, I mean, he just has a really good sensibility, and he knows of what he speaks, and like he just edits these very well. I mean, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Einstein. I mean, I'm just looking at this list right here. It's kind of unbelievable. And so I just think it's one of those books you pick up and you can just like flip to any page and find something interesting.
Andrea, was your book The Road to Dalton?
Yes.
Yeah. Beth Doherty's on here. She said she read it and really enjoyed it.
I'm really happy to hear that. Yeah, that's another indie fave. That's from Europa Editions, and it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, love it. All right, Gabe, what do you have for us?
I've got Jonathan Lethem's new novel for you.
Always good when he has a new novel out.
Brooklyn Crime. I will be a little briefer than usual because there's a lot of us up here. Just the next Jonathan Lethem. If you like Motherless Brooklyn, if you like Fortress of Solitude, you're gonna like this. It takes place it's Brooklyn. It's that old neighborhood that he wrote about earlier. It is the 1970s. The crime that he's talking about is basically gentrification right now. Hippies move in to a very colorful neighborhood, and who pays the price? The kids who get stuck up for their lunch money every day and get beat up for their tennies and sneaks and stuff like that. And then the colorful cast of characters that he always has. He even includes himself in the book as the writer who comes back, who has written about the neighborhood and gets kind of a FU from the neighborhood for being the white writer from the anyways. It's very funny off the cuff book as well, as Jonathan tends to do when he gets rolling. The language, it's written with this really kaleidoscopic verve. It's like when you read a Winslow, the language is really great in a Winslow. When you've read the earlier Lethem, some of the Lethems are the language just pops off the page, and that's what he's doing here. So it's sort of historical. I guess the 70s was 50 years ago.
I know, don't say that. We're historical novels now.
Man. So yeah, my youth is a historical novel. And there's things I could tell you. Anyways, the new Lethem, it is his patch. It is where he's worked the best. And I think this is right up there as one of his best books ever. So check him out.
Has Lethem always been a Harper author?
No, he came over to us. I don't know where he was before.
Okay. Yeah, but it's a good thing whenever he has a book out.
And for some reason, that title is the greatest title.
It really is.
Brooklyn Crime novel.
It's a really good novel. It's getting also very highly anticipated. A lot of pre-pub attention for this book. So I think it's going to do hopefully it'll do real well.
Yeah. Speaking of the 70s, so I've been cleaning out some of the stuff from my mom's house that she moved a few years ago, and we just haven't gone through the boxes. Oh my God, I found like all my secret notes from like 1979.
Oh my God.
Woohoo! Oh yeah,
That's
cover your eyes, Amanda, because there was some stuff going on. Let me tell you.
And Julie brought a few. She's going to share a few of them.
What do you call it? A dramatic reading.
Dramatic
Oh
readings.
boy, I was stuck in my garage, just like riveted, going,
Very
"Oh my God!"
Very dramatic.
I didn't know that I journaled. I forgot. I think I
right.
think I killed a few of those bracelets.
Teen angst, baby.
It was pretty funny. Anywho, Kim, send me.
Okay. My first book
I'll save you.
is it's sorry, where is it? It's it came out last week and it's called People Collide by Isle McElvoy. This is a body swap novel involving a couple. They're living in Bulgaria, where Elizabeth is doing a teaching fellowship, and Eli, her husband, one day goes to visit her at work. And before I go on, Elizabeth is much more successful than Eli. And Eli is very insecure, self-deprecating, and very, very funny. And he's our protagonist. And anyway, he goes to visit Elizabeth at work, and everyone starts addressing him as Elizabeth. And he completely freaks out when he finally realizes what's going on. And then he also discovers that his body, presumably with his wife in it, is missing. So his wife is missing. And the book goes, it follows him on this journey of searching for her, while simultaneously figuring out how to live inside her body, including the sexual side.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Definitely gets more interesting.
And it's a mind-blowingly creative and fascinating book. It explores so much. And occasional chapters have sort of a third-person narrator who also give us insight into how Elizabeth is doing in his body. And one of the really interesting things is just how much society's perception of us determines who we are and how we behave and how we just everything about us. And also how we are who we are, regardless of what body we're in. And anyway, the book explores marriage, gender, desire, and it's super creative, and the author is just really talented. And I mean, I read the premise of this book and I thought, Freaky Friday, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And it's sort of like a very, very adult, very intellectual Freaky Friday.
Okay, sounds super interesting. I never heard of it.
It really is.
Yeah.
I hadn't either, and it's slim. It's not a big book, so give it a shot.
I love it.
It's really neat.
It's
Be a
from the
great
Harper
book
Via
club book.
imprint.
Be a really it's a Harper book. It's a
It does some really good stuff. They really do.
Yeah, Via
Yeah.
really inventive. I mean, they're scouring the world, so it's really nice to have a publisher, an imprint like that.
Yep.
Europa-ish, you know, I don't know,
Right.
you aspire to Europa, I guess. But.
Really good. Tom,
Yes, Joe.
do you have another book?
I
for
do,
us?
in fact, have another book. Thank you for asking. Thank you for joining me. My next book is Pam Zhang's Land of Milk and Honey, which was on sale last week, I think. But I had too many other books to talk about it last week. So at least I don't think I talked about it last week. No,
No,
I didn't. That would be.
I don't think you did.
I don't think I did. So Pam Zhang, she's one of those authors who broke amazingly, a debut novelist who broke through during the pandemic. So I probably talked about her first book, How Much of These Hills is Gold, in 2020 on Tea Time. I'm
Right.
sure I did. It came out spring of 2020.
Mhm.
What are the odds that a book like, a novel by a revisionist Western would break through? But it was that good, and it did. That's what's kind of amazing when you think back to that time. Like, there were a lot of great books
There was
published.
so many.
A lot got lost,
I
but
know.
still,
But there's still
so
some
many
yeah.
broke through.
Yep.
Despite everything. So that was a revisionist Western, and so you knew immediately with that book. You don't know where she's going to go, and so this is the second book, and sure enough, I could not have predicted where she goes in Land of Milk and Honey. It's set in the near future. It's a lot of things about it feel very much of the moment we're living in. There's a smog that has taken over the earth that. So the main character is a 29-year-old Asian woman who is a chef, but in these times, the life of a chef is no longer what it was, because food is no longer what it was. So she's invited by a tech billionaire, to his place in Italy, in the mountains of Italy, where it's the luscious fruit. It's the vegetables are like you remember them. It's a place that billionaires probably are planning to go.
Damn it.
If something bad happens to the earth. And that's what, so it's about a woman who is like, she's both drawn to this place because she's able to be the chef in this incredible, everything that she loves about food is there. So the book is incredibly sensual in terms of its description of food, but also the body and all of that. But at the same time, there's obviously a cost to this character, and we learn what that cost is. But so it's both a dystopia for sure, but there are so many things about it that feel like in the very, very near future. And she's just a beautiful, beautiful writer on the page, every sentence. And where her brain goes, you just like, I will follow her anywhere. Yeah. So I'll just read, getting incredible reviews. PW called it a masterpiece that will be enjoyed. Every reviewer has to make, talk about the food. So masterpiece that will be enjoyed to the last bite. The San Francisco Chronicle, page after page of decadent sensual writing, making Land of Milk and Honey one of the most pleasurable, inventive reads of the year. And that is what is amazing about it. Even though, part of me was like, do I really want to go into a dystopia?
Right.
No.
Right.
But in her hands, it's not the normal dystopia. Like, because of that writing and that sensual writing, it feels like a completely different kind of thing. I do think that if you like Station 11.
I was just gonna say, Emily
You will
St.
like-
John, okay,
you will like
that's
this
where I
book.
was just going.
Definitely
Yeah,
for that reader.
Okay,
But I'm sure Pam Zhang is not going to write another book like this. The next book, whenever it comes, will be completely different in a completely different genre. So she's one of the most exciting writers we have. She, since we published How Much of These Hills is Gold, which if you haven't read that, go and read that. It's so good. She's one of the 5 under 30, she's won all the awards. That book was longlisted for the Booker Prize, which again, incredible for a debut novelist. Then she was chosen as one of the 5 best writers under 35. She's a star in the making, and we have her next book, Land of Milk.
yep. And she is so smart.
Yeah.
I sat next to her at a dinner because it was before the world shut down. I was at the
Oh, yeah.
She was
Oh,
there
right.
before. How so smart.
yeah.
And so I was one of those where I was sitting there going, I'm not smart enough to be in this conversation. Because I think it was like her, and it might have been, I don't think it was Walter Mosley, but it might have been. I don't know. Anyways, it
But
was
whenever I've seen her also, she's the intellect is high,
high.
but also
Highbrow.
this kind of like, I've never met her in person, but like on the screen, and she has like a star power that
Oh, yeah.
she exudes star power.
She does,
to me.
and she's got this magnetism. to
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
So yeah, no, grab that one. Okay, I think we got Julia next.
Yep. Okay. So I have In Light of All Darkness, Inside the Polycloss Kidnapping and the Search for America's Child. So this comes out tomorrow. There's going to be a big episode of 2020 talking about this. This was happened in 1993. It's the 30th anniversary. I was 9 and Polycloss was 12, and this happened very close to where I grew up, in a small town that I knew very well. Basically it was just this horrific kidnapping and murder of a child. It made international news at the time, but if you were in the Bay Area at the time, it was every single night. It was everywhere. It was a huge deal. And this is the sort of ultimate telling of the story of what happened. It's a telling of the story of the investigation, of the parts of the investigation that went wrong. Of course, it was the early 90s, and a lot of these jurisdictions weren't speaking to each other very well. So a lot of how police departments and sort of detective, whether it's the FBI or, the sheriff's office or the police department, like all these different departments, a lot of the communication that they use now to talk to each other came directly out of this case. And Kim Cross, who wrote this book, is sort of uniquely qualified and in a unique position to write it, in that her father-in-law was the lead FBI investigator on the case. So she got a lot of inside details on what was going on with the investigation, on what people were thinking at what times. They're famously, basically, they pulled this man over, Richard Allen Davis, who was the kidnapper and murderer. They pulled him over, and he had made the young girl Polly hide, and I think in the back seat. And this cop put in his license plate and missed one of the letters, and
God.
he had a warrant out for his arrest. So it was like, there's all these things went like wrong in ways that you just know that it haunts the people who dealt with it to this day. But this is like, in a lot of true crime spaces, people talk about the case that got them into true crime. This is mine. This, like, when I told my mom we were publishing this and I was going to read it, she was like, "You can't do that. You had to go to therapy because of this." And I was like,
my God.
"Okay." Yeah, like truly, it's terrifying. But I did read it and I'm fine. And it is an excellent book. It is a very well done look inside this case. It's hard, of course, but it's, she treats it with such sort of tenderness and such care that it's really a great read.
So did I hear you right that her dad was one of the investigators?
The writer's father-in-law was one of
Father-in-law.
the investigators. Yeah.
Wow.
So she sort of has this access
Right.
that a lot of other journalists didn't have. This happened in Petaluma, California. So if you know the North Bay,
Yeah.
at all.
Well,
It's this,
anywhere,
like,
I mean, I
small-
think it was, I think to your point, it was national. I mean, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
international.
Southern California. It was,
And Winona Ryder is from Petaluma. And so she kind of like got out and was like created a lot of press for it and for this, you know, because for a while she was just a missing person, like she
Right.
was a kidnapped child. And so Winona Ryder was like out talking to the news, like, we need to find her, you know, and so it was I mean, it was a huge deal, but
yeah,
like,
it was a huge deal. Well,
yeah. But anyway, it's not the
really-
cheeriest, but I guarantee you, if that's the kind of book you like, it's a
Yeah,
very
There's
no.
a lot of readers for
Yeah.
that.
For sure. Okay, Andrea, what do you got?
I have a book called The Last Island: Discovery, Defiance, and the Most Elusive Tribe on Earth. This is by Adam Goodhart. He wrote 1861, The Civil War Awakening, which did very well back in the day. And this is about the most remote tribal people left on the planet in a little stretch of land, a little patch of land called North Sentinel in an island chain called the Andaman chain of islands in the Indian Ocean. You may remember back in 2018, a YouTube missionary type person decided that called this last island Satan's stronghold, Satan's last stronghold. Went there to try to make contact with those people, and he was killed by poison arrows that they sent his way. And I mean, they're just a people that don't want to have anything to do with the rest of the world. They are the last holdouts. They represent the final chapters in the age of discovery, right? And just want us all to leave them alone. I mean, they are really the last stand against the wired and connected world. Adam Goodhart had been there in 1998, and then after this happened, he decided to go back. And the other islands in that chain, there are people that are still living in a tribal existence, but they do have contact. And so he went back just to reacquaint himself with the area, and he writes about them with a lot of respect. This is just a really fascinating look at this, these resilient people. And this is really well, like, documented visually. There's a lot of great maps, this sort of thing. And this is from the Andaman chain. Any sort of like white folks in these pictures are from the other islanders around where the North Sentinel folks live. And then here's some like historic pictures of tribes people that are related to the North Sentinel that live on those the other islands in that chain. And I just think this is a fascinating book for anybody who's interested in like sociology and cultural anthropology. I just think that he has done an excellent job. So did Adam Hochschild, author of King Leopold's Ghost, said, Adam Goodhart has achieved something most of us can only dream of, finding a place where few of his compatriots have ever been. I wish I had been with him on the journey, but this gracefully written book is the next best thing. So that's really nice. That's a nice endorsement for the book. And I think it's a special title that's going to do well over the holidays for sure. And I'm glad that our author just left them alone. He was around the island, but he didn't have any contact with the folks. He respects their privacy and what they want to do. And he is really the only person that has returned alive
Crazy.
only white person. I mean, the other islanders around there, have had contact, but
Incredible.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just, and it's a beautiful package. You saw the cover. It's just one of those books that's going to make a nice gift for the people, the people in your life who, will like this book.
Yep. Who likes something a little bit different, a different story for sure.
Yeah, and that's from David R. Godine, one of our literary presses.
I
so.
love David R. Godine's books.
Mhm.
He has a few of my favorite authors. All right, Gabe, what do you got?
Always thoughtful, David Godine,
Yes, he is.
and always does a pretty package.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna introduce Kill Show to you. Daniel Swearenbrook is the author.
We're talking about a lot of killers today.
It's going around. This okay, so this novel turns the true crime podcast, the true crime addiction that apparently seems to exist in this country kind of on its head. It is a novel opens up, 16-year-old Sarah Purcell goes missing. She gets on the school bus, doesn't check into school. What happened? Nobody knows. Parents call the school calls the parents, they have no idea. Everybody's freaking out. So everything is set in motion, and early on, a couple of days into the whole thing, one of the kids in the family on his phone records the parents having a conversation about their missing daughter, and you get an inside look. And he posts a few of these videos on YouTube. All of a sudden, they get a phone call from a reality TV show, and they want to do a show. And of course, the more people who see the show, the more people who will be aware of your problem. But of course, that old 72 hours after the kid disappears, they're probably not going to come back. Doesn't come into play. You suspend disbelief, but I thought really well done, because all of a sudden, with the introduction of this, because of the fascination in true crime, of course, everybody's captivated by it. There's so many true crime podcasts already. There's like 25 murder alone. And we have a book coming from the best of those, by the way. So
No, just we might have the best one, but okay.
I don't know.
a side pitch, but so of course, when this happens, all of a sudden everything starts changing, because the police start playing to the TV show, and the evidence and the conclusions start getting skewed. And of course, there are haters that kick in, that chime in. So it creates a whole series of unthought of events. And of course, nothing happens. And then the meat of the show, you go back to the family 10 years later, and somebody has decided that they have taken all the clippings of the show, and they've created this very kind of a shorthand view of the step-by-step, day-by-day process of the 10-year-old crime. And of course, the country's riveted. So playing on a lot of stuff, I thought it was very clever. I thought it was a little out of the ordinary. It's a quick page-turning read. You just tear through it, and there's the unintended consequences. It's not a particularly long book at 240 pages. I think it helps it move quick, and we found you don't need to have a huge book.
Okay,
Anyways,
Amanda, I was looking at the cover, and it's like, I know this cover, I know this cover, I know this cover. It's like, why do I know this cover? It's because we're hosting him.
Oh.
I saw that.
So awesome. I think, is he coming in November, Amanda?
I saw it on your calendar, so that
Yeah. So if you're in San Diego, and so last I forgot to say, Gabe, we teased everybody last week with this special surprise that we were going to have for everybody that lives in San Diego or anywhere close, which was but we sold an event out in less than 24 hours. So sorry, but the news was,
but now you can say,
but now we can say it's Barbara Kingsolver that we got at the very last minute. But we're so excited. She's coming to town next week. So sorry. But
for a second, I thought I was the surprise, but
then
I remembered
Barbara
Kingsolver.
So anyways, yeah. So
the other Barbara.
Another Barbara. It spells a little different.
Yes.
Spells a little different.
That's right.
Anyway, so if you're in town, come see Daniel, because I was like, I knew that book, it was just like something about this, and I was like, duh, I booked it for an event. Anyways, it intrigued me somehow.
That You're ahead of the curve all the time, Jules.
I know. Come
You're
on,
always a step ahead.
center.
People should
Just
listen to
ask me in
you.
the 70s. I'll tell you some stories, my friend. All right.
Keep it swell story.
Okay, Kim, save me again.
Okay. Okay. Last week I had the pleasure of seeing our fabulous former bookseller, Pauline, who many of you know. And I asked her what books she's really loved this year. And she told me that one book that she keeps thinking about is a memoir. It's called Leg.
Mm.
And it's by Greg Marshall. It's and it's definitely a tragic comic kind of thing. And because he was born with a limp, that he's still a fairly young man, you know, his 30s, and he was born with a limp that impacted his childhood a lot. He had multiple surgeries, and after these surgeries, he had extended periods of time in a wheelchair recovering, and he had a lot of other things to deal with as well. His mom had lymphoma and underwent just very, very prolonged, painful chemotherapy. His dad had ALS, and he had a bunch of super boisterous, unruly siblings. And to top it all off, he is gay, and he was living in Utah. So the book starts with his first chapter. He tells us that it wasn't until he was an adult that he learned that his parents had hid the fact that he had cerebral palsy from him, you know, his whole life, which is why he had the limp and why he needed all the surgeries, et cetera, et cetera. And looking back on that, you know, like looking back on his childhood with this knowledge, and of course they were trying to protect his sense of self, you know, his confidence, by not labeling him with this disability. But this book, it's joyful. He deals with incredibly difficult topics, including illness and death, as well as, you know, disability, sexuality, and some of the funniest parts are his experiences coming out as gay, you know, dating mishaps, you know, being terrified of AIDS and all that kind of thing. But really, he is just it's so poignant. You know, he just finds joy in everything. And his parents are funny. You know, his mom dealing with the chemo, his dad dealing with his ALS, you know, just a kind of a weirdly joyful, crazy family. And it's just fun.
Sounds really good.
It's
amazing.
really, really good.
Yeah.
It's
And
better than
Pauline has a really good reason. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
you have a recommendation. For her.
it's better than I'm making it sound. I mean, it's just fascinating and very relatable.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're gonna try and do a true lightning round.
I can do that. So then,
Okay.
should I start then? Does that mean I should
Good.
start?
Well, you can start, yeah, but let's try and do a true lightning round.
Wow. Okay. I think she's serious.
I think
folks.
I do. Well,
I'm looking at her in person, and she's like
like
a real. Yeah, you get the message. Well, okay, so
Get
my
the stopwatch out.
So I was gonna do an accent when I presented the next book, but I guess because we're doing a lightning round, I'd better not do that, because what if I need to correct some of my
right,
accent?
and
It
I
would be so entertaining
wait,
though.
but is it politically correct to do those kind of things
With
anymore?
him?
Oh, that's true.
Okay,
Yeah,
let me know when I should go.
yeah, go.
Okay. I think it would be politically correct to do if I did my, oh,
Arnold.
thank you. But I'm not going to. So Arnold has a book coming next week, next Tuesday, called Be Useful, 7 Tools for Life, right here.
Tools. I love that he uses the word tools.
Yeah. Okay,
Sorry.
enough. So, where was I? So Arnold Schwarzenegger. We might all have our own feelings about Arnold Schwarzenegger over a lifetime of, you know, work and success and failure and, you know, coming back from failure. That's it. That's kind of the place he's coming from. He's quite upfront about the mistakes he's made. he uses other words, F words for the things he did that were, how he messed up. But he's back with a book. The title comes from his father, basically the thing is his father his whole life said, be useful. Like that's what you should be doing with your life. Whatever it is, whatever that means to you, that's what you do. And so in his different ways, that's what he's done. And honestly, he's come back from all these different things in the early part of the 2000s. But now he's like as popular as ever. He's got a huge, obviously TV and movies and stuff, but a newsletter that's read by a lot of people that comes out. I don't know how often it comes out, and during the beginning of the Ukraine invasion, he did a video that was shared, widely around the world. So and also I just have to look at that cover. You got to buy this book. Look at him. He's like, you can't not buy the book. Because he's the most competitive person in the world. He won't stop promoting the book until everyone's bought it. So be useful. Bye.
Arnold. I should not have done that.
No, it's good that you did it. That's as close as we get to it.
Okay. All right, Julia.
Okay, mine is Familia by Marcela Valladolid. So she is a San Diego-based author. And I'm gonna just give you some images here, but this is a Mexican cookbook. It's mostly traditional Mexican recipes, although I was really pleased to see that there were some plant-based recipes and some recipes that sort of incorporate sort of different diets into Mexican cuisine. This is a nopal salad that looked amazing. So it's just a really great cookbook, particularly if you're sort of learning Mexican food. This is I think a great cookbook to start with. And Marcela Valladolid is an Emmy-nominated chef from the Food Network. So she's very well known. I think a lot of people are excited about this book. I had one account when I said that it was coming that was just like, oh my God, they were like so thrilled about it. So they put me in, they taught me all about her. And her recipes, I was going through it earlier, her recipes are very, very cookable, not like super complicated, but really great food. So
I think she's doing something down here in San Diego. I'm not exactly sure if I think it's a public thing. So if you're in San Diego, just Google her and I think you'll find, because I think we're involved somehow with it.
Beautiful,
good.
beautiful photography.
Yeah.
Too, boy.
Oh, I'm so buying that.
I know. I
There you
mean, it looks gorgeous.
Beautiful.
All right. Okay, Andrea, what do you got for us?
I want to talk about California Against the Sea, Visions for Our Vanishing Coastline by Rosanna Gia. Gia is an award-winning, won a Pulitzer Prize award for her journalism. She writes for the LA Times, and she's an environmental journalist that really just writes about the California coastline and its impact on the sea and its impact on the coastline and the people and the animals that are affected. And this is from Heyday, which is California-based subject matter at every turn from Heyday up in the San Francisco Bay Area. And she reports from all different places on the coast. The specific areas that she reports on here, it includes Imperial Beach in San Diego, let's see, Monterey Bay, Pacifica, Manhattan Beach, Laguna Beach, Ocean Beach up in San Francisco, Marin City, San Jose, all up and down the coast. And this is getting a lot of attention. You may have heard her on your local NPR stations and other independent stations that she's being covered locally. Of course, she's getting some nice review attention in the LA Times for this book. And I just think that it's something that is going to be in stores for a long time. Okay. you know, you know, it's an important topic. And I think she's the one to write about it.
Yep. I just think I was just gonna say, it sounds like it's an important topic, so
Yeah.
definitely a good one.
Yep.
All right, Gabe, what do you got?
I got The Prospector, second novel from Ariel Jagnigian.
Oh,
The Klondike. You read her first book?
no, this one, but the galleys pages were all messed up, so it's
Oh,
like,
you
I
should
gotta
tell
get the
them.
real book.
I will send it to you. Terrific,
Yeah.
turn of the 20th century, gold rush, the Klondike. Our protagonist, Alice, is a young woman, middle child of a fruit farmer in California. Her sister and brother-in-law head to the Klondike, strike a vein, and she runs up there and becomes one of the white gold prospectors, creates a generation of, she becomes part of the generation focused on garnering wealth and everything that goes with it, kind of a brutal lifestyle and a lot of taking of lands, etc. But they become wealthy. Fast forward to 2015, and her great-granddaughter is on the way back up to the Klondike to give back the lands to the native people who suffered the most and took the biggest hit. So terrific historical fiction novel, very gothic, very gritty, very dark.
Yeah, it's really
very
good.
It's really good.
But then I got to like, I don't know, maybe I got a third, maybe a little more than a third of, and all of a sudden the pages were all messy. I was like, oh,
Ah,
kidding me.
Hey,
Ah.
Edge of your seat.
I know, yeah, it was really good.
good.
All right, Kim, take us home.
Okay, last week I got my September Warwick's books to pre-order. And this is one that I am so excited
Perfect way to bring us
about.
home, I have to say.
I like clicked on that pre-order button so fast. Yeah, I just can't wait. I'm a huge fan, and what an incredible person. The blurb just talks about all her accomplishments, and I can't even imagine how interesting this book is going to be.
There you go. All right, I have to, in honor of Tom being here in person, I told him I would do a Penguin book for him. So I'm going to highlight Renee Rosen, who is a lovely human. She's done a couple of our virtual events. She's amazing just in person in the interviews that she does. But this is Fifth Avenue Glamour Girl. It's about Estee Lauder when she started in the when she
Right.
started her career in New York and how she became Estee Lauder for all of us. So things that she did, like with, women weren't supposed to have that kind of exposure and work and everything. And I mean, she would do things like she'd be in the department store and she would like spray her perfume around so people would smell it. I mean, it's an amazing little book.
Wow.
So it's really, my sister read it and just loved it. So Fifth Avenue Glamour Girl.
That's a great one, yeah.
Yeah,
She's good.
Estee Lauder, she's excellent. So we got ourselves done under an hour, everybody. Woo-hoo!
Yay.
Another good week of reading.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Yes, thank you for coming to Warwick's.
Thank you for hosting, Tom.
Yes.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.